Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going to be doing our 22nd garden tour of the season. But before we get into that, I got new fish. So I got to get those fish put into my quarantine tank, and then we can get outside in the cold, windy, wet day and see what's going on in the garden. Here is my goldfish and koi grow out tank. They're all little babies right now, and I'm trying to grow them out so they can be a little bit bigger when I put them in the outdoor pond. I don't want to put out these little babies and then raccoons or something come in here and steal them. So trying to get them a little bit bigger before I put them outside. Plus, I like having them in here. If you missed the video, we just put in my bucket bog filter for extra filtration on this. My other indoor pond has a bog filter on it as well. So I'm running a sponge filter and the bucket bog filter on the same tank. My cichlid pond over here also has a bigger bog filter. You can see made out of a nice big tote. And that's running my Oscars, silver dollars, and I have a gold severum in there as well. But today we are going to be looking at the quarantine tank, which actually has, you can see swimming in there, 2 baby guppies that I had born in my quarantine tank when I got guppies. And I left the guppies in there, the babies, to grow up. So I have 2 of them in there. And I'm going to be dropping off these. I look really excited to get out. I have 3 Sarasa comets that are looking ready to come out of their bag, so we're gonna get those dropped off into the quarantine tank. Got my bucket and my net. The fish have been acclimating in the quarantine tank water for a good 15-20 minutes now, so I'm going to dump this bag through my net so none of this nasty water gets into my tank. That was easy enough. Now we got 3 new additions to all my fish. We got all 3 goldfish in there with my guppies and 2 little baby guppies. But hopefully these goldfish are healthy enough. The place I got them from wasn't that great, but we'll see. That's why I use the quarantine tank so I don't screw up any of my other fish. But yeah, I like the Sarasa comets. I got 2 of them with dots on their heads. You can see that. Big dot on that one, little dot on that one. And the other one's just all white, so I like it. Let's get back to the garden. Come on, Pop. We'll start right here coming off the ramp. This bed in general is pretty much done, but you can see I have the spiderwort here still putting off some blooms because I haven't cut it all the way back yet. I cut some back and now it's actually putting off more blooms. Then there's the bubblegum pink candy something, proven winners petunia, and we have the red snapdragons that volunteered last year from seeds I had here the year before, and they're still putting off a lot of blooms. If I actually stake some things up, this garden would be looking a lot better right now. And then a couple jaguar and French dwarf marigolds along with some weeds getting in there. Here on the end, it's that time of year, feet get all dirty. So I ended up getting one of these little boot cleaner things and screwing it to a board. Step on the board, clean your foot, spin around, clean the other foot. Works great. Go! In my greenhouse, I did get this organized like I said I was going to. So yeah, I got everything organized up off the floor, all my trays dumped out, all the garbage thrown in a bag, and she's ready for the winter. I just want to take the shade cloth off that we have on top here. We'll get this shade cloth off and we're gonna put a thicker, like a moving blanket, one of those thick blankets on top of here, and then an actual plastic tarp. That'll just keep everything from blowing around in all this wind we get in the winter, and once that plastic gets cold it gets brittle, so I don't want it breaking. So my dogwood has turned a nice bright red now. This is the 3rd year for this dogwood, so it's branching out nicely. I'm trying to keep a pretty nice structure in there, and it is. But yeah, the autumn color is looking nice. I just hope it gives me some nice white spring blooms. Over here it's beautiful. Oh, it's loud. We got a windy fall day here, but I'm still trying to get this tour out here because things keep changing every week. We got the ewes here, and you can see the corn is starting to die back, so we only have a little bit longer of that corn. Not everything's looking good, but I'm still going to show it to you, so I have a little bit of record of what things were looking like. The perennial bed is completely destroyed by weeds. I got these giant weeds. I don't even know which ones they were, what kind, but they're huge. And pull that thing up. See, they're huge, and they pretty much just took over this whole area. Still have some zinnias poking through, but yeah, everything kind of got overtaken by those big weeds. In here, the cleome's still blooming. I need to get in here and get some seeds. I've been saying that for a long time, but you can see right here, it is prime picking time for cleome seeds. At least pretty much all seeds is prime time picking, so I will be getting out here picking seeds. We have a red bud. Look at all this new growth on it. It's supposed to be going into dormancy right now, not popping out all of this growth, wasting energy going into winter. What's going on? I think poison ivy, my arch nemesis, ottoman off right there. Hydrangeas are pretty much done. I say that every week, I think, but they just keep hanging on to whatever they got. These will actually be persistent pretty much all through winter, but the color will be gone here soon. This is probably my last week. I think next week we're gonna get a frost and kill all these annuals, like this nice dark pink petunia. What do you think, pup? Black-eyed Susan's pretty much done, but that blue jean baby sage has looked beautiful ever since I put it in. And check out this rose right here. We got rose hips all over this Sarah Smile yellow rose. More little roses coming. Still trying to bloom. She's doing great for this year. Come here, Pop. A neighbor walking on the road. This hedge I figured would be done with the color by now, but it is still putting out beautiful color. Look how big these heads are. They're massive. They are just massive heads. And so vibrant. Very vibrant. Ooh, look how big that one is. Look at that. They're so dense and soft. Definitely remind me of old lady carpet. I don't know if you guys had some older relatives with that thick carpet, but that's what it reminds me of. My jungle garden is full as it's ever been, and all I see here is a ton of work because I need to pull all these out once the frost hits. The frost is going to kill back all my elephant ears and my canna lilies that are still putting off some color. So I can't dig them up yet. Like, look at this one, it's huge, just gorgeous, all this foliage, but that's all gonna get burned up here soon in another week or so. We got the Russian sage still putting on beautiful blooms, and it's getting bigger. I still have some blooms on my knockout roses, and the burning bush is still a little bit red. It's definitely dying back, a little bit rusty right now, but it's coming into time to collect those seeds too. Yep, bunch of seeds, see that? I need to do some collecting. One of my favorite things out front is this container here. The begonias have just gone wild in here, covering up my Japanese Goldilocks parv, which has some pine cones on it. Gorgeous. But if you remember this little setup here from the beginning of the year in the spring, I had some Dusty Miller in here and some African daisies, and they all just died back. We had a little bit of drought and I wasn't watering this thing, so they all died back, but this begonia just took over and can't look any better. This front area is definitely one of my next projects. I just want to come out here and rip everything out that doesn't need to be here and clean it up a little bit. It's just too cluttered out here, and I'd like to get it all cleaned up, so we'll see if we can make it clean in 3, 2, 1. And that is all cleaned up now. Got a lot of vines pulled out of there and some weeds. It's not all done yet, but it's good enough for now. My wheelbarrow's full. I'm gonna take this down to the compost, but first, Poppy, you don't let me kick it. Now my pumpkins are still holding up out front here, but my French dwarf marigolds gave out. I don't know why, but they gave out and they're not putting on any color anymore. I thought they would last a lot longer into the winter here, but I'll come in here and take some of these seeds before they get completely rotten and wet. On the other hand, the impatiens have been putting out constantly. I even have a brand new hosta bloom right here. How crazy is that? It is middle, late October, and we have more blooms coming. Fuchsia still blooming beautifully. And then we have more hosta blooms. Beautiful purple hosta bloom. And this isn't even the strangest part. Wait till you see this. My purple rhododendron. Purple passion rhododendron is blooming right now. It doesn't even know what it's doing, but look at that. Wasting a bloom on fall instead of getting them all in the spring. It's a shame. Let me know down below if you ever had a rhododendron bloom in October. Crazy. But it is windy out here. I don't even like being outside in this kind of weather, but we got to get this tour done. So I'm going around anyway and showing you what's still out there before the frost comes. I'm still pretty surprised that we have flowers right now. We usually get that early frost that just kills everything. Then we get a couple weeks of heat, but the heat just kept going all year and we haven't had a frost yet. So some things are looking a little bit straggly because they're not used to living this long. We got some zinnias still blowing up some color, and check out this iris. We've all seen it already, but look at this iris just still putting out beautiful cream colored blooms late October. Nothing from the Corosmia, and nothing happening here. That iris is still going. We got, oh yeah, there you go. You guys want any hosta seeds? I got millions and millions of hosta seeds. Really gotta snap these off this time of year. Get rid of them, or hostas will keep popping up all over your property. Not unlike flag iris. If you have flag iris like I do, all along the backside of this mountain now, we just cleaned up this whole area, so this looks a little bit different than it used to. Go ahead back and check out that video of the cleanup. It was a nice satisfying cleanup of this whole island garden here. All my extra irises and hostas actually went up there, whoa, up there next to the barn, because it's a nice open soft spot I could plant something in, and it'll survive over winter until I have a better place to put it. Some of my French dwarf marigolds are still doing good, still giving me some color around the property, like a little splash here and there. I lost my zinnia, got real big and fell over, but smashing some of my other marigolds, but it's getting windy. Got a bee balm in here that looked like it was just finishing up blooming, but it seems to have taken. My bee balm last year just died right away, didn't survive the winter, so I'm hoping that one survives the winter. This is the food forest in the middle of October. I still have some food in there like onions and cabbage, some strawberries and raspberries, and then there's a bunch of gourds in there, a ton of peppers, yeah, bunch of things. I still have to go ahead and clean up this whole area. Once I get all these annuals out of here and down into the compost, I can take all these posts and stakes and ropes down and get those stored away for the winter. And then I have a tree that I need to put right about here for my design, and that's going to be a bonfire peach tree. So you're going to have to hold me to that. Make sure I get that into the ground before the ground freezes, because it's not going to do well in a pot. I really need to get it in the ground. Look at these gourds. Ugh, these gourds are getting big and heavy. They're going to be perfect for crafts. So if you're in the, oh, raspberries. See, I told you there's still some. Yum. Still some raspberries in here. Something to eat. But yeah, these are great for crafts. So if you're into that, go ahead and try and grow your own crafts. They don't take much effort at all. This one actually volunteered, and look how big it got. There's a ton of gourds on here too. All different sizes, like this little baby one. These ones are all the same, they're all rigid, but they do have nice little curly cues on them for hooking it on to things, so I will be figuring something out for these. This calendula is still pushing out beautifully. This is the Balls officinalis, I think. Balls calendula? Yeah, the Balls calendula. The officinalis is a little bit more yellow, these are a little bit more orange. A little pollinator on there. I just saw this. Check out this little family here. All these gourds in here. Good ton of gourds right in this little area. Stepping on some more gourds. Some more behind me. I think it's because I go along and I mow the edge and I just cut off all the gourds hanging out. So they just start producing a bunch on the ends there because they can't go any farther. Right there's another. Definitely still have peppers. These are Leighton peppers, just covered. But yeah. Some of them are smaller, Some of them are pretty, ooh, look at that. Disgusting. Nasty. Trying to trick me and give me a nasty pepper. But yeah, still some good peppers on here. They're falling over. They're about done. Yeah, if you really wanted some peppers right now, I could still get some. This is a gold mine for seeds. I need to get out here. I keep forgetting. And then the weather's horrible. So I need to get in here. These are actually, you can see they're white. They are not gonna actually grow any flowers. So you wanna make sure you get in there and pull some black seeds out like that. And that's what you wanna save, dry out, and save over winter for some seeds, the dark ones. So every week in the garden brings a new little area that becomes your favorite because something is going to bloom during that time and doesn't really bloom any other time during the year. So every week you get a new little area that's your favorite. And right now, this one is. Boom. Look at all that color. Yeah, it looks, I don't know, not great, but boom. This beautiful little patch of zinnias and marigolds really make my day. Every walk in the morning, look at that splash of color. It's probably like 1/12 of what I wanted it to be. I wanted that to be covering this whole area. But hey, I'll take that little splash of color every time I walk in here, and puppy wants to go in and hunt the barn out. Over here is those hostas and irises that I have backfilled. See? Hopefully they survive the winter, and if they do, I'll pull them out again and get them into the landscape. Alright, now we're going to head down to the garden and show you that nothing has changed. Still have some marigolds popping off some beautiful color right there. And then the elephant ear is giant. Definitely have to get that out because these do not do good at all with the winter. You can see the bottom trunk there. Those bulbs are huge. So I'll be digging that out here soon with my back. And I'll definitely have to be cutting out all these zinnias and getting them into the compost after I collect the seeds, of course. But yeah, I gotta leave them until they get hit by the frost and lose all color. Because that's too much color to just get rid of, right? And the nasturtium on the end of my raised beds is doing amazing. I got my fennel going to seed up here and producing cool little structures. I just like to let things go sometimes so I can learn how they grow, and I may never grow fennel again, but at least I grew it once. But if the ladybugs start liking the fennel, I might have to grow it. Over here is actually some food we could be eating. Look at these beets, multi-sown beets, ready to go in there. Nice and big, couple of them. You can even eat the greens yet, but yeah, got a nice little harvest of beets. I have some snowball. What is it? It's a winter. Oh no, it's a snowball kohlrabi or something, but this one's just starting to bulb up. That one got eaten by a rabbit or something, so I don't know if it's gonna bulb up or not. But I'm gonna leave those go until I can't anymore. We have a couple things in here, a couple carrots, a couple onions. So we'll reach in here and see what we get. There, that's a nice little carrot. And it probably tastes good in this cold weather. Ooh, something else in here eating my carrots. Probably the rabbits. I got a lot of rabbits here. Pop, you're not doing your job getting rid of the rabbits, are you? Are you, Pop? This is probably my favorite thing down here right now is that lollipop Dr. Seuss looking tree. This is the Palimonium tomatosa, the world's fastest growing tree. Sometimes people call it the Royal Empress, but it is gorgeous. Look how tall and straight this tree is. And it is only, what, 3-4 months old? Gorgeous. Hopefully it branches out nice and symmetrical like I want it to. If not, I'll have to cut it down and see if it goes straight again. I do need to get in here and cut all these weeds back because this garden is getting a little bit of a redesign. I gotta open it up and fence off more of the area, but it's pretty much done for the year. Just need to do some cleanup. But look at that chard. It's like a chard forest. Look how big these are. The massive root balls on those chard. It's nuts. My asparagus is massive as well. It's got the red berries dangling from it still. I'm gonna get all this cut back and into the compost. It reaches about 15 feet into the ground, so it's pulling up a bunch of minerals and nutrients that other plants aren't. So you wanna get as much variety in your compost as you can, so you get a lot of variety of nutrients for your plants. Makes sense. Puppy. Got one of these firecracker plants because I heard hummingbirds love them, and it looks like they should, but this thing's doing amazing right now. It's doing great. but it's just not very showy because like the flowers are so small. The little yellow nasturtium's putting out a lot more color than this is. I have a buddleia in here, little buddleia, still putting off a little bit of pollen for the pollinators, and then a ton of zinnias in here. So I do have plenty of options to get my seeds. No seeds in that one, but yeah, I just need to stop putting that off. Come out here and get my seeds. This cosmos is all dead, looking horrible right now. The zinnias are dying back and just starting to blow over more and more. So yeah, I just need to cut my losses, start pulling things out. Down here we have Chinese forget-me-not blooming. This is just volunteers, but I have to leave them because the bumblebees have been constant. They've been all over the Chinese forget-me-not. They're loving it. So I'm leaving it for them. We got this beautiful little dahlia blooming. Very nice and bright. Got some speckles in there, nice shades of pink. I don't remember what the variety of this one is. This might be one of the rainbow dahlias. It just didn't. There we go, that's a better one. I don't know, but I gotta dig that dahlia up. I have a mandevilla vine doing beautiful for this time of year. I'm surprised it's liking this temperature we've been having. Below that we have a beautiful Myrtles Folly. Just one of my favorite dahlias, just gorgeous structure in that thing. And then down here, if I can show you before this wind gets me, I have some crocus blooming, some fall crocus, but that one's done. This one's just trying to open up, but I'm gonna force it because I think it's too cold for them to open. You can see it's a nice striped purple with a yellow center. They're actually a pretty nice flower, but they're kind of overtaken by my poppies in this bed. Still have some hibiscus blooms trying, but it's got to be too cold for this plant, especially next week. The nights are going to be down into the 30s, so I got to get this hibiscus into the garage where it's going to stay nice and warm. I got my Power River Stone for all my pond work, so go ahead and check out those videos if you haven't already. We'll finish this tour up by the pergola. Now, coming into the pergola, it actually calms the wind down a little bit. And we got the gourds hanging, which I just love this area in here. But yeah, the ceiling's kind of lightening up, but still got enough coverage up there. I just love it in here. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever had a birdhouse gourd or any gourd bigger than this. These things have gotten huge, and they just keep putting on weight because we haven't had that frost to kill them back yet. So these things have just been growing non-stop. Even one around the corner here, you see my pumpkin on a stick still doing good, still giving me some color. Got an eggplant just laying here. Hey eggplant, look at this one. Oh, I don't want to pick it up by the stem. Oh, look at that. That's gonna make one bird real happy. I'm also getting some of these blueberries, tomatoes. Some of them are ripening up a nice reddish orange, and then I have some blue ones. That plant has been going crazy all over this pergola. We got some more gourds, and then we'll take you over to these dahlias. Now these dahlias would look a lot better if somebody came out here and staked them. So yeah, that was my mistake. But if I came out here and staked these babies, we'd be having a beautiful show right now. So out here I need to come and dig all these out, but even though they're laying down, I can still see the color, and I can still come and cut them for arrangements inside. So I'm not too worried about it yet, but I do see that there's a ton of work here because I have to move all these wood chips, dig up all these dahlias, dry them out, and store them for the winter because they are not going to go back in here next year. Up here is going to be my jungle garden next year, so I am going to be bringing that castor bean up here and some canna lilies, elephant ears, and a bunch of other jungle type plants. So if you know any jungle type plants that I can grow in zone 6A here in western Pennsylvania, go ahead and put them in the comments down below. Thank you. The last dahlia I have here is the orange something, but oh, look at that little bumbler. A little bumbler in there. How cute. Sleeping on my flower. See him? A cute little bumbler. It's cold for him, so he's stuck here. Just let you go. So yeah, the dahlias are looking pretty good still, even though they're all falling over. And Bub was just in there yesterday hunting, so he knocked a bunch over too. But oh well, I only have about a week left of these, and then I gotta get in there and work. I know there isn't that much change going on in the gardens right now because the weather's cooled off and nothing's growing, but I'm still out here making some changes, digging things up and switching things around, making new gardens for next year. Puppy. Thanks for coming along with me and Puppy here on week 22 Gardens Tour and seeing what's still happening here in middle of October. If you want to see more progress and project videos, go subscribe down below as I'm turning my family home into a paradise. And you definitely want to be around as we get more fish and animals on the property so you can say you were here from the beginning. That's all for this one. You can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.